Right now on Denver 7 News at 6 a.m., crowds will converge on Denver for the Stanley Cup. But could high COVID cases interrupt your celebrations?
I'm Denver 7's Colette Bortle on what Ball Arena is doing to keep fans safe at the games, while COVID guidelines could be changing.
Yesterday, our high was 90 degrees. Today, even warmer and hotter still for the weekend. I'll have your complete forecast coming up.
With Mother Nature turning up the heat, you might consider going to a river, maybe even a creek. I'm Denver 7's Veronica Acosta with why experts say it's more dangerous now than it has been in years past.
Getting to the bottom of these unknown objects in the sky, NASA launches its own investigation into UFO sightings.
Time to work on your best duck face pose.
I know a lot of people that I know love to take photos. I think it's a common ground with everyone that people like.
The young mastermind behind this new Metro Museum. Happy Friday, everybody. You're watching Denver 7. I'm Jessica Crawford.
And I'm Brian Sanders. That looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, it was.
What a genius setup there. We'll break that down for you coming up. Meanwhile, you'll need all the sunscreen and pool toys this weekend. It is going to be hot out there. We're going to talk about water safety coming up because people are going to be looking for a place to cool off, Stacy.
That's right, but you might want to be in the shade for your selfies because it's going to be hot today. 94 degrees, mostly sunny skies this afternoon. And on average, we should be around 82 degrees this time of year. Instead, we've been pushing closer and closer to those record afternoon highs, which are in the upper 90s. So along the front range today, temperatures in the mid 90s for the most part. We'll have low 90s up into northeastern Colorado with mostly 70s off to our west into the higher elevations. Now this morning, we do have a dense fog advisory, thick fog here for the eastern plains until 8 a.m. Also a heat advisory starting at noon today and lasting all the way through the weekend for temperatures around 100 and higher. So keep that in mind if you're headed out toward Grand Junction in the western slope. Otherwise, this dense fog advisory we were keeping a close eye on. Things are pretty quiet here in Denver, but we were just talking about tubing. If you're looking for any ways to cool down for today, it'll be in the 80s at 11 a.m., 90s by 2 p.m. with partly cloudy skies.
Yeah, out there in Golden is really fun when you're just floating down Clear Creek, you know. It's a pretty good time. All right, right now you can see that very thick fog Stacy was talking about out to the east, limiting the visibility and making for a bit of a difficult drive at the highest speeds. Take a look at the drive overall around town. You're starting to see a little bit more traffic here and there. 104th at Highway 85, a crash out there. We're still cleaning up this earlier problem from yesterday. It was a truck fire, trailer fire down the eastbound side right before C470. Take a look from the camera right now, and we actually had a car disabled now in that little area where they were fixing the roadway. So they still have 2 lanes blocked eastbound I-70. 1 lane's open, but travel times are maybe delayed by 20 seconds at best out there. So no need for an alternate route right now. But again, you're starting to see a little bit more traffic on 270 and I-76 out to the east side.
The Avs are back on the ice to practice for the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, just trying to stay loose out there as they wait on an opponent for the Stanley Cup, but they have an extra few days to heal up as well. We are happy to see this one player return to the ice. Goalie Darcy Kuemper was back at practice. The Avs say he has fully recovered from an upper body injury he suffered in the last round against the Oilers. So the city of Denver is getting ready to welcome a flood of hockey fans downtown for the Stanley Cup Series. But COVID cases are on the rise again. The CDC says every county across the Denver metro has a high transmission rate right now.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is joining us live. And Colette, that is not something we want to hear, especially right now.
Definitely don't want to hear that, but school's out, summer's basically here. There have been parties and gatherings, so this increase isn't a total surprise for those in the healthcare world. And honestly, the ebb and flow of this virus, it's something all of us have learned to expect at this point in time. Now, it's still unclear if the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment will implement a mask mandate for the city, but UC Health recommends them in large crowds, especially if you're indoors. And as we've said before, being vaccinated and boosted decreases your chances of getting very sick. Doctors say these measures, more than 2 years into the pandemic, are to ensure we don't overwhelm our healthcare systems like we've seen in the past.
We are seeing an increase in hospitalizations, and so it's sort of ticking up slowly. And so it's not like it was at the peak of December, January, when it was exploding. We're not even probably a fifth of the way there, but it's definitely rising.
Stanley Cup final, which is on all of Denver's minds as what's next on the calendar. Those with Ball Arena say they're working with local government and league leaders to keep up with health and safety guidelines. They also tell us there are more cleaning protocols in place. Live in Denver, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
All right, taking all the precautions. Thank you, Colette. An FDA advisory committee will meet Tuesday and Wednesday next week to talk about COVID vaccines for kids under 5. Versions from Pfizer and Moderna still need federal approval. If both the FDA and the CDC give their okays, those vaccinations could start later this month.
Well, looking ahead to next week, 2 more hearings are set for the House Select Committee investigating those January 6th riots. During yesterday's first primetime hearing, we heard new testimony and saw never-before-seen evidence of that day unfolding.
I am not allowed to say what's going to happen today because everyone's just going to have to watch for themselves. But it's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
For nearly 2 hours, the bipartisan committee showed evidence placing former President Trump at the center of the violent event. At least 4 Trump aides testified that they told Trump and his team that he lost re-election.
Made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was.
How did that affect your perspective about the election when Attorney General Barr made that statement?
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney General Barr.
Despite making findings public, the committee pressed that the investigation is still ongoing. The 2 hearings next week will take place Monday and Wednesday at 8 a.m. our time. The January 6th committee hasn't announced a formal schedule for the rest of the hearings, but there could be as many as 8 more throughout the end of the month. The final hearing will be in September, right before the November midterm elections. You can find our full 360 in-depth coverage on last night's hearing right now on thedenverchannel.com.
This morning, Greeley police are looking for this man they believe to be armed and dangerous. Luis Mendez Mayorga is accused of harassing and then stabbing a couple in Greeley's downtown Wednesday night. Both victims are okay. Mendez Mayorga faces second-degree assault charges now, and there is a warrant for his arrest. Also this morning, Boulder police are looking for more possible victims after arresting a man for a series of peeping incidents. Police say a family surveillance camera caught James Baird watching their juvenile daughter in the shower. The family called police and officers arrested him. It happened in a neighborhood near Chautauqua Park. He faces charges including invasion of privacy, obstruction, resisting arrest, and trespassing.
We are in store for a stretch of hot days. Highs will be well into the 90s, which might have you thinking about ways to cool off. If you're heading to the water, then we do have a warning for you. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us live. And Veronica, the waters are more dangerous right now than in years past.
They are, and officials are really trying to drive this one message home. If you're going to be around a body of water, whatever it is, you want to be as careful as possible. And part of the reason for that is because we did see snow a little bit later this year than we typically do. So when we talk about places like the ones behind me, Clear Creek here, they're going to be seeing those water levels spike. And that's definitely what you want to be careful of, as well as debris and faster moving water. Colder water, also something you want to be mindful of. That's why officials recommend that if you're going to get in, you wear that wetsuit or any type of thermal clothing. You should also always be wearing a life jacket, and that's really big. In 2020, a record 34 people died from drowning in Colorado, and so far this year, there have been 13 drownings. That does put us on track for another record year.
Most of our drownings are someone who's not wearing a life jacket or started in a life jacket that was not sized appropriately. And you can be the world's strongest swimmer, and if you get sucked into certain parts of this river, you are not going to be able to just swim your way out of it.
And 2 other recommendations from experts besides that life jacket and really making sure it adequately fits: putting a whistle on it so you can use that whistle just in case you're in trouble, and also carrying a knife. If you're somewhere like Clear Creek and you happen to get caught in some netting or something else, you can free yourself pretty easily if you have that knife handy. And again, like you guys mentioned, it's going to be a really warm weekend. Stacy has more on that.
It really will, and I think we're all going to be looking for ways to stay cool this weekend, including today. As you're headed out the door, temperatures will be in the 60s. We'll be up to 84 degrees by noon, and as we get into the later part of the day, we'll have 80s at lunchtime, 90s around happy hour. It'll be hot and dry for today. So whether you're going to the patio, Jason, or you're going to the river, it looks good.
Yeah, sure. Or you're going to get a stump just taken out of your backyard. Oh, yeah, I got that waiting for me today. All right, so we have I-25 or 6th Avenue, Colfax. So you can see Mile High right over there, looking really good across central part of downtown. Not seeing any real problems yet across the morning drive. Starting to see a little bit of traffic in those usual spots, typical for a Friday, a little bit lighter than normal.
Will a Broncos great return to the team now? The rumors suggesting Peyton Manning could have a new role under the new ownership.
Finding the perfect fit just got easier. The new high-tech way to shop for shoes. But first, let me take a selfie. I got a behind-the-scenes look at a new selfie museum opening up in the Metro.